The grace period is over. Any sort of benefit of the doubt that Lebby is going to get as the coach for Mississippi State is over. It ended in this game against Florida. Last year, 2-10, and obviously he took plenty of heat for that. And yeah, you go 2-10, nobody's going to be happy. But it was also understandable that, man, that roster sucked. You had nothing defensively. You could not stop anything. And offensively, was it as good as people were hoping for year one? No. But you still showed flashes on offense enough on that side of the ball that it's like, okay, you see Jeff Lebby kind of doing his thing. Like, this is going to get better once he gets a few more of his players in. It's just going to be a bad year. You've gone into this season. Yes. Is the team improved? They are. They are more talented top to bottom. You obviously have shown the ability to win games this year, which is a big key difference from a season ago. Beating Arizona State is a good win. And ASU beat Texas Tech today. I know ASU got killed by Utah the week before, but Texas Tech, that's a really freaking awesome win for Arizona State. So, like, that win has aged decently well. Like, that is still a good win. You were toe-to-toe with Tennessee, which does count for something. Even though, like, I know you lost the game, that matters. And clearly, I mean, the fact that you were even in a game today is an improvement from where you were a season ago. The team is better. You've lost 15 SEC games in a row, and you're 0-11 in those games as the coach. And this is one you could have won, and this is one you potentially should have won. I know I kind of talked about that earlier. It's like, I don't know if you can fully say that. But when you consider the situation in Florida, that coach is fired. I don't care if he keeps his job for another couple of weeks. Billy Napier is done as the head coach of the Florida Gators. And it's not like Florida went out and just played their tails off for their coach to rally the troops one final time. They didn't play a good football game. This could have and should have been a win for State. This was an opportunity to finally snap that streak. This was an opportunity to get it done and build some momentum and set yourself up where you say, okay, they're 5-2. They've got a conference win. They got that monkey off their back. Now they're going to find a win somewhere else the rest of the way. Get to a bowl. That is a really good season for this team, given where they've been as a program. And you go and you lose this game. And coaching was not good in it. Some of the play calling stuff from Lebby in this game. And I got notes on my phone, so just going back to look at it. Like, the first one that really stood out, the 5 straight quarterback runs. So you bring in Camario, and what I liked is you bring him in, and it's not just one play. You give him a sequence. You give him a series and let him try to move the chains. You just keep running quarterback run. Now, were a few of those read plays potentially, and I know the third down that gets stopped, it looked like it was, which people have asked, did Camario make the right read on that play? I don't know. The thing is, yeah, the defensive end crashes. Like, it's weird because you got a jet sweep going the other way, but the defensive end, who if he's reading someone, that's who he's reading, that end crashes and turns his shoulders towards, I think it was Gaden who was in motion. In theory, if you see that defensive lineman turn his shoulders, that kind of signals pull read for the quarterback. The problem is, once that happened, Florida was able to take advantage, which, look, Florida had defenders in play. To be fair, that might be as simple as Florida expected some sort of an option look there. Somebody account for the back, somebody account for the QB, and basically force the quarterback to have to pull the football, and then we'll get it stopped. I don't know for sure that's what happened. I just know that's the way you'll see teams to defend those read plays is they'll have the defensive end is locked on the back. Like, hey, you're going to take the running back, force the quarterback to have to pull it, and then we're going to have somebody loop around to get to the QB. That I don't know if that's what happened or not. Shape in the next play, I'll be honest, that one I was not paying attention to see the read component. They ran the exact same play, which I'll speak on that. The shape and play, I didn't pay attention to the line well enough to know whether or not he should have handed it off or not. I don't know. Most people were saying he should have. Maybe, maybe not. Either way, the decision to run that play, like you pull Shapen out and then you go with the exact same play call. The only thing I can think is Lebby had it in his mind There's no way Florida is going to expect the exact same play when we pull KT. I don't know, man. Like that's not a chance I want to take. And Lebby's done this a few times where like you'll see him run the same play multiple times in a row. Like kind of the idea of like, we like this play, we like this matchup, we think it's the right call. Yeah, they stopped it this time, but we're going to do it again. Very tush-push-esque for Mississippi State and how they handle that at times. That's just – but if you're going to do it again, man, I'd rather the quarterback who I trust can bowl forward. And I don't think Shapen is as bad as a runner as people think. Like, we see him at times when he is able to get loose, can move a little bit. I think logically, again, he had to be assuming that we're going to be able to pull a fast one on Florida here. I don't like putting the ball in Shapen's hands in that spot. To me, like if you're going to just run the same play, give me the better player to do it. Better player in terms of fit for that play. Although at this point, maybe he is a better player. Like I said, Shapen played like garbage in this game. So I'm not even like trying to make some sort of a statement there one way or the other. Shapen sucked in this game. The guy who at least I know is a better runner put him in that spot. So there was that one. You had a couple 3-and-outs where you didn't give the ball to the running backs once. And obviously there's always the RPO element of this where State runs a ton of RPO. And if you run an RPO, that means the quarterback has an option to throw the football. And Shapen loves to not hand it off and throw the football on RPO. There's times I think he pulls it when he doesn't need to. I mean, look, again, I'm normally the last person to be talking about run the ball just to run the ball, but State's running backs were effective enough. I don't get having a sequence to start off a drive where we don't even try to get them the ball in their hands. I think that's what Lebby thought with quarterback run, which is dumb, especially when the sweep had an opportunity there. Yeah, honestly, like that could have been an idea. Like, keep Camario in the game, but this time run a design sweep, which I know we talked about earlier. Like, they can't block those sweeps, but that time it probably would have been there. Like, I would rather keep Camario in and, like, we are running this football and then the ball's going in the hands of somebody else. But the 5 straight QB runs, like, part of my problem there, and I forgot to say this, but this leads into the idea of, like, possessions where the running backs aren't touching the ball. Because they had, like, 2 3-and-outs where they just run 3 straight quick passes in a row and you're punting the ball. In an offense, like this is not the air raid. This is an offense where you were trying to run the football. This is an offense where you got a lot of looks to run the football because Florida sits back in a too high look most of the game. 5 straight QB runs, going back to that possession. Are you trying to get the guy killed? Put the ball in the hands of the back at least once. If you don't trust him to throw it, whatever, which at some point you've got to do that because, man, like it's going to be wide open. But if you don't trust him to make a decision to throw, hand it off to the back. That's still going to be different than what the defense is expecting. Take the read out of it. Just say, hey, like we're running counter here. Ball's going in the hand of the back. Running inside zone, whatever. Ball's going in the hand of the back. No read. And I know they can do it because I have seen them run design handoffs. There are times they run the football and there is no RPO. There are times they run straight. It is a run. You can call it. And I don't get not doing it in the game. And it's frustrating when the offense is not working and you know Shapen's having the issues that he is and you don't do that. And obviously, like that goes beyond like the 5 straight QB runs thing. Like you should have mixed the handoff in there somewhere. But when you're having so much trouble just getting started and getting momentum found, that's where like let's get a run going to get a little drive started. Let's find some momentum on the ground. And I do not get it whatsoever. Somehow Kentucky and Texas are tied at 10 in the fourth quarter. I actually do get that. Texas in a letdown spot. Texas offense sucks, and Kentucky's defense is not very good. But, I mean, they're playing at home in Lexington. That kind of feels like a very typical Texas letdown type of spot. So, like, again, not using the running backs the way they needed to. And, look, I know it's not as simple as just handing it off to them because, like, throughout the course of the game, there were times where they handed off and Florida made plays defensively, even when they had a look to run the football well. But, again, for as much as Shapen was struggling, why are we throwing the ball 36 times? I feel like you got to mix something else in there. And then finally you get to the end of the game and the decision there, which some people had issues with the clock management thing. I would have taken a timeout earlier than I wouldn't have let it burn all the way down to the 2-minute. I would have taken a timeout earlier. I think there's two lines of logic there. One of them is the idea of timeout being more valuable than the time on the clock itself. That we're going to run tempo. We're going to be able to get enough plays to move the ball. We don't really care whether there's 2 minutes left or 2:15, 2:20. The 20 seconds isn't as valuable as having the ability to stop the clock if we have to. So I get why they wanted to leave themselves at least one timeout. I still think they could have taken one earlier. As to why you don't take one right before the 2 minutes, so like let's say it had gotten down to there's 2:05 left. Why would you not take a timeout at 2:05 and let it run down to 2 minutes? The idea is that if you give it to where there's only time to run one play before the 2 minute, you give the offense the ability to throw a risk-free pass. Basically, like the offense doesn't want to throw in that situation because they know if this ball hits the ground, the clock stops. If the clock's going to stop regardless because of the 2 minute timeout, as an offense, you're like, well, we can throw the football here. Like, just don't throw an interception, but we can throw it here. If we have to throw it away, it's no big deal. The clock is still stopping regardless. That's the mindset there. But I still think he could have taken one earlier, and then maybe you let it run down still a little bit, and you give yourself a few more seconds. Not that it mattered in the end. Time is not what did Mississippi State in. The decision to not run the football at the end and throw the pass. And the quote from Lebby was that they loved the call. I think it was something they wanted to get down to around the 20. Brandon Walker made a comment on Twitter about this that is fair, that there's so many times we see coaches, they get into field goal range and they get super conservative and then they end up missing the field goal. And then how often we say, you idiot, why did you stop trying to move? Like, why'd you stop trying to score? I get it. Like, I don't think it's the worst call on earth. I do think, Will asked earlier if that was just coach speak. Probably, but at the same time, I get where he's coming from. But at the same time, man, when you are in field goal range and you've got a chance to win the game here, and it's like we've got a field goal to win the game, and you choose to still put it in the air. Yes, Blake had been playing well on that particular drive, and really, the couple drives preceding it. The quarterback has not had a very good night. Your quarterback is also prone to taking sacks he should not take. Giving the opportunity that, one, he takes a sack to put you out of field goal range, and then two, the chance of an interception. Like, I think it's possible you can't have handed the football off and still gotten good yardage, because Florida's whole thing here is like they're going to play prevent because they don't want to give up the touchdown. Like, I don't really fully – I understand the decision. I don't think it's necessarily the right call. I think you keep it safe and give yourself a chance to kick a field goal. Sure, we got an opportunity for one kick to win the game, and they ultimately didn't do that. This was not a well-called game from Lebby. And the counter argument to that is if State hits the wide-open touchdowns that Shapen misses, if Xavier Gayden doesn't fumble, if they call that field goal correctly, or if Kyle just drills it instead of leaving it, close, maybe you win this game, and ultimately Lebby called a game good enough for State to win the football game. That's all fair. That's all good. But the counter I would have to that is, like, the quarterback thing is the big part of it. Like, we're saying, well, you left all these touchdowns off the board because Shapen couldn't throw a touchdown. You didn't have to leave him in there. You could have made a change at QB and see if it sparked something. Now, I know why he left him in as long as he did, because his mindset is, this is the guy I trust, this is the guy I have the most confidence in, and if it's still within a 2-score game, I can put him in, and that could be, like, I guess, like, he is clearly, like, he doesn't think KT's ready, and he doesn't want to put KT in a serious spot in that environment, having to make decisions throwing the football. But if your quarterback is continually missing plays, even if the game is close, you could have made a change. There's also the fact 6 penalties for 70 yards in this game, or is it 7 for 60, I think. Like, there's a false start, which is a false start Shapen had. Like, there's a legal formation or a shift or whatever that they didn't get set that takes away a positive play for them to open up one of those drives. That's another thing Shapen screwed up. You have to make sure your guys are set. But some of the penalty stuff, like they have a 64-yard punt that gets called back because of illegal formation. The illegal formation thing they've had all year with an offensive lineman too far off the line. If these things are happening week in, week out, if you're having these little execution errors come back to bite you, if you're having penalties come back to bite you, that falls on coaching eventually. Eventually, it's not as simple as, well, we just got to go out and execute, or we got to clean up the mistakes. You're the coach. This has been a problem your entire tenure at this point. Is Lebby always talks about missing the layups. Well, we keep missing the layups. Why are they missing the layups, Jeff? Like, at a certain point, it does fall back on you. This is the first loss of Lebby's tenure where it is truly, coaching played a legitimate role. And it's not all coaching because, again, he had a quarterback that if he has better quarterback play, you win. But you coach that quarterback and you choose that quarterback in the game, if he makes mistakes, it ultimately does fall back on you. This is one where Lebby made decisions that hurt Mississippi State's chances of winning a football game. And that is something that, like I said at the beginning of this little spiel, grace period's over. You can't just talk about talent. You can't talk about, we're just playing teams that are better. I don't care that Florida was favored by as much as they were in this game. You did not have a team come out and play well enough to win the football game in a game you needed to win. That falls back on coaching. And that becomes a problem. And now you're going to take a ton of criticism that is deserved, but it's also going to be, you're going to have a hard time really convincing people that, like, you're going to be the guy moving forward. Like, you have to earn that trust back at this point, because, like, now legitimately it starts to become, okay, is Jeff Lebby doing the job he's supposed to be doing here at Mississippi State because of the way you lost this game and the issues you had?